What it do? It's your girl coming through with another video. Yes, like you can see, we are doing a speed edit. I'm doing a voiceover, and I'm going to kind of show you or take you along the steps I take to take a picture. I'm not gonna go into detail. Don't worry, I will go into a little bit more details with my quick tip videos, so watch out for that. So right now we're in Black Dragon. I'm setting up my photo. Don't mind my floating shorts. Like, I have a big problem with that. Even in Firestorm, I think it's my internet connection is really bad, but I digress. So right now I'm trying to figure out the perfect pose, the perfect angle, not the perfect pose, the perfect camera angle right now. So I'm moving around trying to get the perfect angle, and I'm using the Pose Anywhere hood. You can't see it now, but you will see it soon. And I use that, it's awesome. I use that to pose myself, and I also use that to lock my camera, to save my camera position. And like, this hood is so amazing. I have talked about this before, so go check out that video. I think I put a card in the corner. It's really good. It can lock in your camera position, and then you can exit out of that position and edit some more, and then just click escape and you're back in that same camera position. Awesome for photos. So right now, the next step after finding out the camera angle is the lighting. And I'm not going to go into depth about this because I do plan on doing a video about lighting and how I do my lighting. That's actually going to be the next video you're going to see. Actually, after this video, I'm going to do a quick tips on lighting. Like, I'm not a I'm not a master on lighting. I'm just going to tell you how I do it. So if you know a better way, or share your ways of doing it, but I'm just going to show you my way. So that's going to be in the next video, so I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I'm just going to say, obviously I'm adding those of lights to kind of show the reflections on my skin, to make it look luminous and stuff like that. So I use multiple lightings for this, so to illuminate different parts of my body. So yeah, those like floating shorts are really getting on my nerves. I tried taking them off and on again, but it never worked. So now I just turned on the ultra mode, and my ultra looks different because I've been playing around with settings and I've saved them, and I'll show you where those are in a minute. So once I put on ultra and I can see more how it's going to look like, I can see it's a bit too dark, I'm adding more lighting, overall lighting to my face to light it up. So that's what I'm doing. And don't forget to hide your cubes so they're not in your picture. Oh, and another quick tip I should say. Oh my gosh, I say this so many times, and I feel like people should know this by now because I have seen videos of people saying this. But if you're taking a portrait photo, please use the Control+0 keys. What that does is that it zooms in your camera. If you don't do that and you just manually with your mouse zoom into your avatar, you're gonna get like a fish eye effect where you're very big and distorted. It looks disgusting. So definitely use, if you're doing a close-up shot of yourself, use Control 0, and I use that and I click it 10 times, so it's ultra zoomed and it looks amazing. So that's a quick tip I will say right now. I'm adding more light into the back because I loved to emphasize the neon lights behind me and to kind of illuminate the whole picture. So after I've got my lighting set up, I start figuring out what kind of wing lights I want to use. So I'm checking out different wing lights. I am not creative with wing lights. I use the same wing lights for all my pictures, because all I do after is just edit the picture in Photoshop and then I change the lighting there or the color there. So I use Swain wind lights. Hopefully I'll have the link in the description below. Like literally, I don't even think about that. Those are the only wind lights I use in every single picture you've ever seen, or in my Instagram or Flickr. Swing wind lights. That's the only thing I use. So here, what you might not know is that in Black Dragon, under the display tab, if you scroll all the way down, is these sliders, and these sliders can change the kind of contrast, the brightness, it changes the white balance, it changes like the hue and color. So if you're someone who doesn't really like editing in Photoshop, this is a good way to kind of edit your photos a little bit before taking them. I don't think a lot of people know that this exists, but I'm not gonna do a quick tip on this because literally I just like slide the sliders until it looks good to me. So yeah, so here I was trying to do a technique that I saw on YouTube, but I ended up not using it, where you take different pictures, like different pictures using different wind lights, and then in Photoshop you kind of put them together. So I tried to do that. So here I'm taking different pictures, like highlights and different colored wind lights, but I ended up not doing this anyway. So yeah, maybe I'll try and play with that some more later on down the line. So we are wrapping up the second life photo taking aspect, and we are now in Photoshop. Here, this is what I was telling you. I was trying to play with the whole like different wind light situation, but I quickly deleted those and I just did my normal editing. I'm not gonna go into too much detail on what I'm really doing because, like I said, I want to keep those for the quick tip videos. So don't worry, quick tip videos are coming on exactly what I'm doing here. But to kind of give an overall process, like my overall process that I take when I edit pictures, is that first I fix any imperfections, but this picture really didn't have much, but here you can see I'm fixing this kind of like pink color that's on my head. But apart from that, this picture didn't really have any anything to fix, which is rare. So first step, I always fix any imperfections. Second, I do highlight and contouring, or highlight and shading. And third, I do filters. So those are the three steps I take when I take my pictures. So here I am doing my contouring and shading. I'm using the ellipse tool, and make sure when you use the ellipse tool to kind of like select different parts of yourself to shade, please feather it. Don't just use it and then, because a lot of people, they use the ellipse tool to make a selection around their face or around wherever they want to shade, and then they dodge and burn it, but then it leaves a really harsh line. And I'm like, if that's what you like, that's what you like. But I would suggest that once you take the selection, feather the selection a little bit, like 5%, and it gives a little bit of a softer edge. So that's another quick tip. I'm giving quick tips and I said I wasn't going to, but yeah, that's too quick. So now I am using a skin brush, which is like a brush that has like dots in it. If you Google skin Photoshop brushes, you'll find it. That's how I do it. That's how I got them. And I'm using this brush to highlight some more, to kind of heighten the highlights a bit more on my chest and on my face. Yeah, so I'm doing it. So after this, I'm gonna go into shading, using the selection tool to kind of contain the shading and shade my chest area and things like that. This kind of just gives dimension, I guess, because this is where naturally you have shading under your clothes. So add a little bit of realism and depth. I love, like, people have different editing styles. My editing style, I absolutely love deep shadows and like really contrasting shadows and highlights. That's my type of photo, so I do that a lot. So now I'm shading my neck and the bracelet. Another tip I guess I would say is blur is your best friend. When you paint on shadows, use a Gaussian blur and blur it out. Don't just leave like a harsh line. That's the key. You want softness. You want it to be subtle. Subtle but intense. I don't know how, it's hard to explain. Subtle and intense. But any brushstroke you do, blur it out, make it softer. A lot of people do their shadows and it's just so harsh because they don't blur it out. So now I'm just kind of using a hairbrush. Again, Google hair photo brushes and you'll find those, Photoshop brushes and you'll find those. And I'm just adding some kind of wisps that comes out for realism, because right now the hair looks like super flat. So adding little wisps can gives a little movement to the picture, which I like. Here I'm adding some more highlight, like you can see. I'm blurring it out, and on top of blurring it out, I'm kind of using the eraser tool to kind of soften the edges as well. So right now we're on to I think my favorite bit, which is the filters. It makes the most difference. And again, I will do a quick tips. I will do a quick tips on the filters I use, but they change all the time depending on the photo. But I will do a quick tips on that soon. So here I'm just using different filters, and the kind of, I think this is the reason why this is my favorite, because it's the most, I think, different. It kind of brings everything together. It gives like a cinematic feel to it. So this is definitely my favorite part. Using the filters and playing around with them is my favorite part. So we are almost finished with this photo. Luckily, because this is not always the case, luckily this photo didn't have any fixes that I had to do. Usually I repaint like a whole hand, a whole arm, a whole everything, but this picture didn't have anything that I had to really fix, so that is good. So that's why this picture kind of took quickly, and I didn't do that much editing because it really didn't need it. So here I am doing a technique which I want to do a quick tips on, but I'm thinking, should I just tell you now, because it's not that difficult. But it's using lens flares and different lighting effects to kind of give realism to your photo. So that's what I'm doing now. I want to do a quick tips video on this, but it's gonna be a very short video. But hey, that's what I'm doing here. I'm using like lighting effect images to place on top of mine to give a more dynamic shot. So that's what I'm doing here. So that is it for this speed edit. I hope you liked it. I hope you got a little glimpse of how I work, and yeah, I hope you liked it. So take care, everybody, and until next time, stay safe. Bye.